Right, so let's get started. Technology enhanced instruction. I'm Patrick Magnus. I'm going to tell you a little bit what I learned from interviewing a couple teachers about their use of technology. First question I asked was, how do you give your learners a greater sense of control over their learning? There wasn't a real clear answer on this. I gave the best one from a grade 4 teacher there. You can read it. Other teachers talked about their use of Seesaw and their use of Twitter as a way for kids to get a better grasp and have more control. Seesaw allows kids to create digital portfolios of their work, so they have that sort of choice. And also, there's often a greater sense of variety in how they can approach a problem or assignment. How do you help students navigate and understand their online presence? Short answer is for kindergarten and pre-K, those kids are really too young to be exploring online by themselves. And so a lot of their interactions online are guided or don't exist. Whereas with older kids, it's important to be direct and honest with the students. To sort of help them avoid those real world concerns of and learning how to present yourself and be safe online. In what ways do you think learning tech can help students connect to the world around them? The big takeaways from here that I found were assigning work that requires the students to go into the real world and document it. You can do that on Seesaw, but also the use of Skype to reach out to in other classrooms, and then Google, which you could use for like virtual field trips. What technology do you most use in the classroom? This one I felt would be like the most helpful to myself and other uh, educators. Our school has a ratio of 1-to-1 iPads. So for each student we have, they have an iPad to use. So of course, all three instructors that or teachers that I spoke to worked at my school, and iPad was the first thing that came up. And then of course, Seesaw came up. Um, Seesaw is an app that you can use for assigning students lessons. They can annotate, they can record video, they can record just speech. There's a ton of things that Seesaw offers for students to do work, to capture their work, to share their work. But in pre-K, I thought this was a quote worth sharing about not using tech for early childhood so much, more of just using it as a way to share, which again would tie back into like Seesaw. What would your advice be for integrating technology into the classroom? The answers here were very simple. Be intentional, do it, and start small. But really, it's like do it. I think that was one of the bigger takeaways I had is like you have to get into it if you're really gonna learn to utilize technology in the classroom. You've got to try. How do you use technology to involve parents and their students' learning? Again, Seesaw, which is a platform for creating a digital portfolio, but it allows so much communication between parents, teachers, and students. I put them here in bullet points, some things, but the big things are communication and the ability to share work and how they share it. It's a powerful tool. Do you feel like technology helps you more effectively gather and utilize data from students? I was a bit surprised here to get sort of a pushback from the teachers, but what they really like or don't like about technology is how the data can seem like limited in scope, and they feel that it takes away from the human element of teaching, which I'm not sure how I feel about that, honestly. But all of the teachers I talked to, that was a concern about data collection, was removing the human element of it. The obstacles for using tech in the classroom, I love these answers. Wi-Fi stops working, forgotten password, devices in charge, something will go wrong. And I love this quote, the biggest problem for many teachers is resisting the urge to solve these problems for students. And that quote actually leads kind of into this one. What are some particular technology you use to build student problem solving skills? This was the best answer. And the answer is that The technology presents opportunities to problem solve, whatever they may be. The challenge is not in solving the problem for the students, but rather encouraging them to seek answers by exploring and trying different things. What might teachers need to remember when integrating technology into their lesson plan? SAMR, substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. This was actually a graphic and a message that was shared with me from the pre-K teacher. And you want to be in this modification, redefinition area when you're experimenting with tech, because you want to make sure that there's intent behind what you're doing with the technology, and that it's creating a learning, an enhanced learning experience that can't be done without the technology. Okay, questions I'm going to ask myself. What will I gain by replacing older technology with newer technology? Have I added an improvement to the task process that could be accomplished by older tech at a fundamental level? Does this modification depend on the new technology? How is this new task made uniquely possible by using the technology? But really the biggest thing is, what do students gain from the use of technology in this lesson? What are they going to get? And that's like thinking back on the intent that I got from the teachers that I spoke to. Okay, quickly, here is a lesson plan that I evaluated. It's not exactly a lesson plan due to the situation that we are in as teachers right now with the coronavirus and not being able to teach one-on-one and utilizing Seesaw to communicate our lessons. But here is a task that actually my wife made for her students, her pre-K students, where they needed to, the day before, they needed to collect data and create a graph to share. And then today they are using Seesaw to share that graph and to talk about their research. I looked at the standards that we were supposed to check out for using technology. Students plan and employed research strategies. Yes, right? That's from the previous lesson, carried over into today's lesson. Students use technology to share their knowledge that they had built exploring real world problems. This hand washing thing, right? All the kids are going through this right now. It's important for them to get into that real world experience and connect with it in their learning. And then students are using technology to demonstrate their learning. Creates an opportunity for the student to reflect, and they use the technology to create adept, personalized learning experiences. I will share a link to the video of a student presenting her work so that you can better see how the technology was utilized and why it is a plus and not a minus in this case. Okay, that's it. I hope I didn't go over 7 minutes too much. This is my vlog. Sorry, I look sort of like a homeless fisherman, but that is the nature of this current situation with the coronavirus. I am with family and packed like my house was burning down. Okay, I'm done talking. Thank you. See you.